Hello, dear being. Do you also feel bored and pissed off and fucked up by everybody around you? Do you also have the feeling that life should have a little bit more excitement for you? Do you have the feeling that everybody's kind of drunk and stupid? Welcome to the channel of me, Christopher Reusch, your spiritual guide through life. Well, that's kind of bullshit. First, right, if you're going into this space, I decided to record a trailer. Why? Because I felt like it. You see, I'm not asking you if I should record a trailer. I'm asking myself. And that's why I'm not and never will be your spiritual guide. Because what I'm trying to teach you is how to be your own guide. So that you can stop spending time with watching content on video platforms. Yeah? So I'm trying, with my very unique perspective, to blow your mind as often as I can during these walks. And that's why, I just randomly talk. But that's not true either. Because I don't just randomly talk. No. Because I know what I'm doing, because I've done this for a while now. I've trained this. Well, when I started, it was like a hack job, right? It's like the first time you're trying to crochet something, well, it might look a bit shit. Or other people may say, oh, that looks a bit shit. And then you spend 5 hours trying to crochet something, and they say, well, that looks shit. Or you just spend 2 hours in the kitchen baking your first cake, yeah? And then your mother says to you, well, it's disgusting. It's like, yeah? Welcome to the world of dependency, and welcome to the world of independency, right? So, what we are trying to achieve here, in this world, this life, this misery, is to understand the things that one should be depending on, or could be depending on, because they actually make your life better, because it's more like a kind of giving and taking kind of thing, like a codependency, such as, I harvest fruits, and therefore I grow them, yeah? I don't leave it up to machines to do these things. No, I do it as a human, because I've been given the ability, yeah, to take fine seeds and put them into the soil. And I've also been given the mental ability to understand the relationship between planting seeds and harvesting. And therefore, wow, look at her go. I'm always a bit, wow, because my feet are like, wow. Yeah. So I've planting seeds by walking barefoot. I've been planting seeds on the internet. Wow, she shows you how it's done, eh? But I have a backpack and I'm not really in the mood to run. Wow. Like these trails, wow. Plus, overly sensitive. Recently, I'm really fucking sensitive. I mean, I'm telling you something. First, I want to tell you something else, which is I can still extend this thing I put the camera on. Do it now. Do it, I want to see you do it, do it, do it, I want to see you do it, do it, I want to see you do it, do it. Just made 2 new songs, which, you know, aren't really standalone. Although you do find my content on Bandcamp and on streaming. Yeah, I don't really want to make advertisement. Fucking hell, you know, if somebody's interested in what I'm doing, life will show him the way, yeah? I'm not here to tell you everything that there is, yeah? I'm not here to do that, you know? This is life, yeah? It's a big meadow. Go play, yeah? This is more or less how it's done. You know, whoa, 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 let go, let go, let go, let go, whoa, 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 wow, wow, ow, wow, 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 fucking hell. Yeah, I've been letting go so much already. It's crazy that there's still stuff to let go. Now, one thing I wanted to say when I was walking here, and maybe I'm just looping my way or serpentining my way to that point, is who are you playing with? Like, who are you specifically playing with? So, I've realized that as I grew older and older and older, that although there are people that are taller in physical size or stronger in physical strength or older in terms of, you know, the years that we've been counting, I started to realize that that actually doesn't mean much. I mean, it means much to the person that wants to give meaning to it, because it has, you know, the person has the feeling, it sets them apart. But the truth is, you did nothing to grow that tall. You know, that's just a set of variables. So to define yourself by your size is kind of stupid, because it's clinging to outside circumstances. It's like defining yourself with the weather. You know, it's like sunny today, oh nice weather, I can go outside. And if it's raining, you stay inside. And so most of your winter is like depression and feeling shit, yeah? Well, why? You could be going outside when it's raining. You could be going outside in the blizzard, you know? Just if you feel like that and you kind of have an idea what you're doing, you know? I don't always knew what I was doing, but I did. And that sets me a bit apart from other people. At least in terms of the direction I was going in. Because I seem to be a bit more bold, a bit more cunning, a bit more, I'm gonna fucking hack my life. I'm gonna figure it out. You know, when I was younger, in terms of age, fuck. You know, I often thought, when I was watching people that are in prison, I kind of knew I could get out of that. You know, I wasn't overly confident, but I knew if I would be in prison, I would try to get out of it. I would analyze patterns and I would break out. I would find a way. And then there's like movies like Escape from Pretoria, and I watch that and I think, yeah, that's how it's done. So I seem to have certain abilities that also enable me to figure out how to do the Rubik's Cube. You know, it's not that I taught myself how to do it just by having it in my hand. You know, that's not my expertise. My expertise is looking for knowledge and then learning to apply it in my own way and in my own time. You know, some people, they pick up a Rubik's Cube and it's natural to them. They understand something about algorithms, you know, and then they just do that. But I'm different. If I want to solve the Rubik's Cube, I pick it up and then I try it a couple of times and then I realize I don't fucking get it. I don't understand how they do it, you know? And it made me incredibly frustrated to keep doing it that way. So, you know, I was a bit impatient and I didn't want to spend all my life trying to solve the Rubik's Cube or figuring it out for myself. So what did I do instead? And maybe it's because there's too many variables. There's too many variables, like, where should I even start? Yeah. And then when I managed to do it once, I probably wouldn't remember how I did it. Because it's kind of confusing, right? It's like, oh shit, how did I get there? And then I would have to do it all over again. But this time I would know, oh, I managed already. Well, I did it different. I was impatient and maybe I didn't believe in my abilities. So I went online and I looked up the manual and I learned to solve the Rubik's Cube by following the manual at first. And when I had learned that by heart, which is maybe how I was taught in school, right? To just learn things by heart and then to just vomit them onto the page. And then when I was at school, and then I would try to do it without the manual. So I first would look for help, but not from people, because I don't really like people teaching me stuff, because then they feel overly powerful. And then they think that the reason I can do what I can do is because they taught me. You know, that's like the teacher predicament. If you see yourself as a guru or as some kind of teacher, you think I need you. But I don't need you. You know, I just need something to get me going. So that's all I am to you. You know, I'm not your guru. You know, I'm not your I don't know what. I'm not your friend. Because I'm not friendly all the time. And if you would ever live with me, you would realize that, you know? I may seem like an easygoing kind of dude, but if you piss me off, or if I'm in some kind of like mad state where I'm trying to be creative, well, you would soon realize that I'm not so easy to live with as you might have thought. And so, you know, I learned to set boundaries, because people are literally assholes. I mean, you just have to look at what people are consuming. They're eating meat. You know, they're hacking down trees like they're nothing, like they don't even exist, like a tree has no, like, right to live. They just, you know, like, look at this. Like, look at that hack job. There's no appreciation. And that's what machines do for you. You know? They make it too easy. But at what cost? You know? To destroy such an area. At what cost? The cost of machines. These trees were alive. Good trees. Good trees. Trees like this one. Yeah? Trees like that one. I see it all the time. And then they're just being mowed down. Like they have no right to live because, you know, I want to make a table out of it. Well, you could sit on the ground, man. You could sit on the fucking ground. Yeah, but that's beneath me. Oh yeah? Well then, maybe it's time that you learn to humble yourself to sit on the ground. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's important to do these kinds of things. And so, yeah, you know, I don't want to call myself a shaman, but I do recognize that I have certain abilities that you would say a shaman might have. It's a certain form of consciousness, it's an awareness, oh wow, this is life. That's what's going on, right? This is like, okay, state of mind. You know, that's darkness. You know, maybe I want to go into that. Oh wow, that hurts. Oh wow, that's really painful. All right. Learn to work with that. That's what shamans do. Energy workers. They transform darkness into light. They dive into the darkness, then they come out of it. Yeah. And they communicate with spirits of all sorts. They read energy patterns. And they speak truth. They have visions that they bring back to the people. Now I have a vision of a land that's going to become more and more destroyed because of human greed. Yeah? So what am I going to do? You know, I can also envision something else. Because this vision already exists. We're fucking up the planet. The planet is fucked up. That's our mother. That's Earth. That's nature. We're fucking destroying her. Yeah? We're children that are so out of place because we're running around. We've been given the gift of fire and machines. And we think we're powerful now. No. It's the machine that has the power to do things. So we think we're powerful. Do you know what's powerful? To mow your own lawn with a sickle. Yeah, that's fucking powerful. Because the kind of how you have to move your body, right? There's like power in there. You know, to have an acre and to plant your own seeds and then to harvest the crops. Maybe with a horse, or maybe you just do it by hand. That's powerful, because you're doing it with your own bare hands. You're in direct contact with Mother Earth, and there's appreciation for the gifts she's giving to you. You see how that's powerful? Because you need power to do that. You don't need power to sit in a car and drive around, and suddenly you've, you know, left 200 kilometers behind you in 2 to 3 hours. If you would have walked that, you would have never done it. Because you're lazy and you're weak. So I think you have to agree with me that in order to do things with your own strength, you need power. And that means that somebody who uses tools is not as powerful. Well, what does that mean for psychedelics? There's like a trade-off, right? I use them and then I don't use them. I use them to show me the way through, the path, to expand my mind. And then I learn to get there with my own strength. Because I have a vision and then I implement it. I have a vision of myself, this is how I could be, and then I put in the work. Okay? All right. Power. Stick with that. Yo, cheers, man. Okay, I just want to say, I actually was about to quit. You know, maybe not for all time with videos, but I thought, no more of this shit. Like, I thought, maybe at least for a few weeks, I will just stop recording content. I was thinking of holiday, yeah? What does the word mean? So I was passing it around in my mind. Holiday, holiday, holiday. I was looking at the German word Urlaub. I didn't really find a lot of meaning in that. You know, like I said, some words are really empty unless you give them a meaning, but there are some words which explain themselves by themselves if you look at them for a while. And so, holiday, I came to the point holy day. Now, some people live their lives and they're waiting for a holiday. But if you think of holy day and you just make every day a holy day, which means appreciation, you know, suddenly your whole life could be a holy day. And so I was sitting there, you know, I did my session, I slept a bit in the sun, then I set up my slackline, and there for about 10 minutes I just walked across. And that was incredibly liberating, because I started to feel myself and I came back to that place of trust. And it's so important to do that. At least once in a while, it's so important. And that also brings me to another way of recording videos, which I haven't done before, because I like these 2-hour movies a bit better for some reason, because I don't have to think about, you know, when to stop the video, when to continue. Now I just can basically split my hike into sessions. You know, I say something and then I turn off the camera, because as long as the camera is running, my mind is trying to get back into that place. You know, to think about how I look to other people and stuff. You know, it's the same concept with your phone. If you always have your phone around, you're constantly being drawn into the phone, thinking, did I get a message? Should I call someone? You know, is somebody trying to reach me and I maybe didn't hear it? And that's like all this kind of anxiety. But ultimately, it's better to just learn to be on your own, to find that place in yourself where you feel stable, where you feel powerful. And that kind of power, of course, can be used in all kinds of ways. Yeah, that kind of power can be used to dominate others so that you feel even more powerful. Or it can be used to give others stability by holding your own space and then creating a room where other people can come into and maybe talk to you without you having the need to lecture them or anything, but just where they can find out things for themselves. That's what I'm trying to do with my videos. And I realize now, after I've done all these things, that my voice, you know, I'm much less angry. And that's an insight I just had while I was doing my session. I was doing rapé, yeah, and I felt really nauseous. And then I ate an apple. I first drank some water, and then I ate an apple, and then I set up the slackline. But in the moment where I did rapé and I was sitting there, I felt so weak. So weak. And that weakness can be lack of strength, physical strength. That weakness can also be emotions that you are holding in your stomach, right? Often when we are afraid, we feel nauseous. We feel nausea. And, you know, that's why breathing into the stomach and learning how to channel the energy is quite important. But for that, you have to learn how to focus on yourself. And there's a lot of fear I'm dealing with. There are a lot of things that make me sick or nauseous. And, you know, when I see dogs going about their business, sniffing and stuff, you know, they're constantly breathing to look for their trail or for markings, for clues where to go. And at the same time, the tail is moving. You know, it's just like attention, focus. You know, there's like people who have these beads, you know, that you pass around. That's something that allows you to hold the focus. When you do crochet, that allows you to hold the focus. The thing is, doing crochet in the beginning, of course, is really hard. You know, any kind of thing you do with your hands. So in the beginning, you first have to work yourself to a point where it becomes natural, where the movements of your hands just become one with your entire being. And so you don't have to think about doing crochet anymore, you just crochet. And that, of course, takes a lot of stamina and perseverance and strength and power. And now the concept of power has been brought to me. I want to sit like this for a while. I'm going to show you, because that's what I sometimes do. Maybe I want to sit here, because I have to look for a spot that isn't overly sticky, with sticks, full with sticks. Because my knees are starting to get weak because I have too much strength. Sitz. Bleib. Los. And so sometimes I started sitting like this because I was looking for ways to get rid of the excess energy. I mean, like energy in overabundance, so that I stretch my body. You know, this is a really uncomfortable posture in the beginning. Right now it feels good because I also warmed up. But if you're not used to this and you don't have enough strength, maybe it's better before you start stretching to first start building up some strength. Strengthen your legs. You can walk barefoot. You can do slacklining. You can stand on one leg. You can squat, like this kind of indigenous squat. And that all helps you to channel your energy better. Bleib. Los. Right, so she doesn't really know what to do with herself. You know, I have to accept that. If I don't play with her, she starts barking at people and at dogs. If I keep her busy, she's happy. You know, she doesn't really bother with other people as long as I give her a way to channel her energy. So my videos and my content are ways to show you how I channel my energy, and so I talk about it. I'm also trying now at the moment to distance myself from thinking about the camera, or to basically keep my focus on myself rather than on the camera, so that I also know when I've said enough, right? And just one more time, I think. But, you know, a part of me, I've already slacklined. I've shown you how I slackline. I don't have to show you how I slackline anymore. Because in the end, it's about you figuring it out. There's a lot of people who do slacklining. You can look at that. It's like introduction videos. You know, I'm not going to teach you all of these things, because I taught them to myself, and I don't have, you know, I don't want to teach you everything there is. All I'm teaching you is the stuff that I come up with. So when I talk about trails of power, that's a concept I got from Carlos Castaneda's books. I only listened to 2 audiobooks, which is also something you can do while doing crochet, for instance, or I don't know, breathing, or just relaxing. And there was the 2 ones were Journey to Ixtlan and something like blah 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 Side of Infinity. There's all kinds of books from him, but I learned about from, you know, he's talking about that kind of sorcerer, shaman guy, Don Juan, and he talks a lot about power and trails of power. So a place of power is something where you feel strong. You know, nature is a place of power, but there's also certain spots that are more powerful than others. And usually when I do rapé, I look for a spot that I quite like. Sitz, bleib. Platz und los. And then I sit down there and I do it. You see, so a place of power is a feeling. A place where you feel good and safe and strong at the moment. And maybe it's a tree where you just want to lean on, because the tree has all kinds of healing energy that you can connect with. You know, there's some kind of tree meditation where you can just lean on a tree. You just close your eyes and breathe. And then the tree's going to heal you. But only doing that will still keep you a bit weak. So you also have to strengthen your body. And that's why there are several ways that I do this. And I think walking and hiking is a good way. To me, going barefoot, because that massages the underside of your foot. And that's like, you know, where your entire being rests on. So your feet have to be strong, so that you can balance better. You see, and it's also about getting out of this position, maybe a bit more gentle. Right, and after you've done this, but just be careful.
You know, if you have weak knees, you know, you can injure yourself with such things. You know, I sit like this and sometimes my knees start to hurt. And that's why I started sitting in this other position. It's always about balance. If you just keep sitting in the same kind of position, you know, that can also weaken you because it's always one-sided. And that's why sometimes I sit like this, sometimes I sit in the other position, but sometimes I just want to lean onto, some pillows and just rest and sleep. I sleep in all kinds of positions, you know, left, right, on my back. I don't really sleep on my stomach anymore. So that's roughly it. You know, take them along. Take them along on a journey. Yeah? For me, it's tough, you know? I'm not kidding about that. To create content online is a bitch. Because what are you sharing and what are you not sharing? You know, how often am I supposed to throw her stick? You know, she has so much energy. Bleib. You know, that Sitz, 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 Platz, Platz, Sitz, Platz. Hier, 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 hier und los. So I just try to engage with her. I also try to increase her stamina. Now I said I didn't want to do that, but a part of me wants to. So yeah, I come here because it's quiet, more quiet than a park, for instance. Yeah, but I also have to walk here for at least half an hour, 45 minutes maybe. So it's really important to introduce quiet time into your life also. No, you have to realize if you want to be strong, you have to get there, you know? You have to walk to the version of yourself that is strong. So you have to drive weakness out of you by strengthening your body and by learning how to channel emotions up, because emotions are raw energy and they can destroy you in the form of anger, right? Sometimes, you know, whatever weakness is, if you feel vulnerable, that's potential weakness. Why? Because that means you have all kinds of wounds, emotional wounds that are oozing into your system, right? Fear is oozing into your system, anger is oozing into your system, pride is keeping you small because you use pride as a false, like, you know, because you try to tell yourself you can look down on others. And so you're trying to hold a place where you are proud. Wow, fuck it. You see, it's difficult to have that thing and then still slackline. It's really difficult, and I have to be honest, I don't really like it. Because normally I would slackline in silence and just practice walking to the other side. And that's usually the way it's done. But yeah, there's all sorts of transitions, of course. And at the same time, if I know how to talk, walk on the slackline, film myself, be aware of my surroundings, and still manage to turn without falling, you see, I could have just really injured myself. Because that slackline is kind of high. But I know what I'm doing, so I feel when I'm falling. And when I feel that I'm falling, I prepare myself for the fall and then I catch myself. And that's how I engage with depression. So when I realize, you see now I injured my leg a bit, it's okay, it's like a strain, all right. So when I learn when a depression is coming, I can sense it. And
And then I can react to it rather than being its victim. So then I don't have to be sucked into the depression. You know, I can like prepare myself, there's a depression, and then I can just rest, right? I was just at that place because of all these emotional things, you know, like the things I'm dealing with, right? You know, maybe somebody I miss or whatever that I'm afraid of. I mean, I've talked about this elaborately, but to hold on to that anger is just really toxic to myself. And ultimately, you know, I have to learn to let go of that. And I think that's for now, it's okay, because I really need to pee, you know, that's a need. I'm aware of my needs, and I also want to slackline because I'm getting cold. Cheers, brother in arms. Yeah, another lesson in charms. You see, it's hard to figure out for me how to do this. Is this gonna be like one session, one video session? Is this gonna be a whole movie about the trails of power? I think that's more like it. Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, if you ain't got 2 hours to watch to hear what I have to say, then you ain't got time. And then I don't want to bother you, right? Because if you ain't got time to go out chasing some power, then, you know, I don't have to say anything to you at all. Because it takes time to make time. Because time is energy. And patience is love or something, right? And impatience, what's that then? Who knows? You see, you know, I'm chasing power, I understand that now. Because I want to feel at least a bit like, you know, I'm managing. Yeah? Because all I see is weak assholes with cars. You know, and for them it's enough, yeah? That they feel powerful when they sit in the car. But let me come and take you out of your car. Suddenly you're not so powerful anymore. Suddenly you're a weak little shit that's gonna run away. Because if you're not in your car, you can't lock yourself into your car. You know, and so often you have people, they sit in their car and they're like, "Rah, rah, rah." Yeah? And then you go and knock at their window, or they realize it's open, you know, and then they close it real fast. Because that's who they truly are. Weak little shits. I mean, they're the ones that probably would stay in the village looking after the children, while the real man would go out, hunt, and fight others or something. You know, I don't know how it was. You know, I just hear stories about stuff that people tell me how it used to be, but it ain't that way anymore. You know, if you run around with an axe because you think you have to protect yourself, you look like an idiot. Because what are you going to protect yourself against? I mean, it just shows you're afraid. I mean, these days, it's simply not sensible anymore to walk around with a knife or a gun. Because people are all pussies. Nobody's gonna do shit to you. And if they will, well, they're gonna be armed to their teeth. You know? And then what are you gonna do? I don't know, just leave. Because people with weapons, yeah, I don't know. You see, it depends on the situation. But, you know, I've been living now 34 years, and I've never been involved in some kind of armed robbery where I could, you know, be some kind of hero. That just never happened. I mean, I was saying when I came back from Africa that Germany is like probably one of the safest places you can ever be at, and yet it's also the place with the most cowards. And that's probably why it's the safest place to be at. Because everybody's a fucking coward. I mean, nobody's gonna pick a fight with you. I mean, I can literally, you know, I've been really trying things. I mean, I've been really stretching out my boundaries. I can literally do what I want as long as I don't physically harm somebody. But if it's in terms of saying things to people, you know, that's already enough. That's already enough. You just have to say things to people and they already shit their pants, you know? You just have to call somebody an asshole and they're like, "Argh!" Yeah, well, you are an asshole. Yeah, so why shouldn't I call you one? Because it's not appropriate. Nah. You see, am I an asshole? You know, I keep talking about that. If I don't throw her a stick. Well, yesterday I threw her plenty of sticks. Because otherwise she would just bark at people. Because if you don't give me what I want, I'm gonna get it somewhere else. Well, that just makes you an idiot. Yeah? You know, that's the kind of thing some people do in relationships, yeah? Some women do that. If you don't give me love and attention, I'm gonna fuck somebody else. Oh yeah? Well, that's real tough from you, you know? I could do you a real favor, just drop you on the streets, and that's why it's probably better to never marry anyone, because, you know, then they cannot bleed you out. Of course, it's your own fault if you marry somebody that didn't really put in the work to be with you, right? So you have to pay real good attention before you marry anyone, you know? That's what I see, because, you know, if you want to have power, you also have to surround yourself with people that want to work for that themselves, or at least, you know, power is a really stupid word, but I like it because it sounds powerful. But power in general is a word that just seems like you want to oppress people. Yeah, if I'm talking about power now, you think, oh, he's just want to be rich and then exploit everyone. Yeah, all right, you know. Yeah, that's what why I've been doing all this stuff. Yeah, so stop listening, please. You know, I just have to keep saying that because I'm doing this because I want to do it, and not because you need me to do it or something. I mean, it's always a trade-off. It's always a transitional thing. It's always something in between, right? It's never just this or that, you know? You never truly hate somebody, but you can stick to the position of hating someone. And so, when you're walking your life and you're looking for power, which is a place where you feel good, where you feel, you know, not necessarily in charge, but at least this is the place to be, you know? This is all there is to it. But yesterday I was at home, I felt incredibly shit. I didn't even know why. Because I didn't even do that much. I went out, did some rapé, you know, went for a hike. Well, then my feet are hurting. You know, my back is aching. I feel so shit. And then I made a song, Incredibly Terrible. And it goes like, why do I feel so terrible? Yeah, something like that. And today also, yeah, I just can't get rid of that feeling. I have something stuck in my foot. So, already going out, walking her today, to me is a bloody stretch. And then I just catch myself by doing all these different kinds of things that are probably counterproductive, which is sitting too much. So I placed my laptop because now I've worked enough, I feel powerful enough again, so that I can stand behind my laptop, because that's where I want to be, you know? I want to stand behind my laptop. I don't want to sit on the ground, because I realize if I do that, it just breaks my back. It literally breaks my back, and if it breaks my back, it breaks my heart. Because if my back is broken, you know, we talk about the heart like it's something, I don't know what. Like, we talk about the heart like it's just some fleshy thing in your chest, or it's like that butt-shaped red thing. Well, I hope you do realize that red is the color of the root chakra. I hope you do realize that red is the color of fear. And generally, if you would put a color to a heart, it probably should be green, because that's the color of the heart chakra, and that's then located somewhere here. And so there is, of course, some sense to it. And so if I want to go out and about and do my thing, then I have to work with a lot of the things that make me angry or that scare me. You know, people chopping down trees makes me really angry. If I see a person that already has a clipboard and walks around, and I have the feeling, you know, I don't know what he's doing, so I just want to punch them in the face, you know, for even if I just have the thought, they might do that. They might not even do it, but it still projects my anger onto them. See, now he marks that tree. Fucking hate that shit. Because they don't even see trees as living beings. I want to go ask him. Alright, so I've set my bit. I checked out the guy and we had a nice conversation. My preoccupations I could let go of, at least to a certain degree. I've also informed him, nah, not him actually. I mean, we just talked about trees in general. So it's about, right, what about power? Yeah? What about trails of power? You see, I go to a place and sometimes I meet people. Sometimes these people come to me, but sometimes I have to go to the people. And I don't know what to do in what kind of situation. All I know is that I have to do something. If I don't change, because what I've realized is power is something you can attract into your life. And that's then when you talk about the law of attraction, of course. So if you start working on yourself to become more powerful as a human being, as an individual, but not for yourself, but for the tribe, for the people, because you want to work yourself out of your own mess so that you can give stability to the tribe and the tribe's humanity, the whole of it. You know, I cannot just become strong for myself, because that's ultimately, it's gonna be boring. And I won't know what to do with all of that power. But if I become strong for the people, because I want to give back, because I recognize that everything I've ever learned, everything I've ever done, right, everything I ever had has been given to me, you know, by life, by people, by nature. And then you realize one day, I want to give back. I want to give back as much as I can, And for that, I need to be strong. Because there's people that want to destroy all of that. They want to destroy people like me. Because all they want is power for themselves. They want to be powerful. They want to be president. I don't want to be president. I just want to do what feels right. What feels like... Because there is a left and a right. You know, I can always walk the middle path. But what does that mean? You know, I must choose. Because if I don't choose, you know, maybe other people will choose for me. You know, if I choose politics, you know, and I worship politics, then I cannot worship nature. That's my belief. If I choose politics, I submit to all these talkers, you know, these people that sit around in suits. And that does it for them, right? Because they want to be worshipped, you know? I have no interest in being worshipped. I want to share what I learned with the people that want to learn alongside me. And the genius about this method is that nobody who's selfish can keep up with me. Because if you're selfish, you're going to vanish from this world. Why? Because you're gonna run out of stuff. If you're selfish, you cannot give truly what you receive. Because you don't even know what you receive. I know what I receive. I receive power, energy. I received life. I receive love, which is a form of energy or power from people. But I also realized, well, I've got nothing to give. The people in my surroundings, they got nothing to give. Because they're hiding. You know, I ain't hiding. I'm like full in your face. Why? Because I worked hard so that I could give to the people. You know, I didn't start doing it with that idea. I just did what felt right. Because I felt good sharing. You know, I meet a lot of people, they stop sharing because then they become selfish. So then be selfish for a while. Don't share anymore. You know, that's not my path. My path is I'm doing everything in my power, you know, power that's been given to me, so that I can do something with it. So what's the point at the moment? To sit around at home and mope and feel shit about life and myself. You know, what's the point? Because all that's gonna create in my life is more of the same. That's the law of attraction. If I sit at home and I nourish negativity, right, I'm just gonna push out everything that's positive. Maybe, I don't know, right? See, that's where things get a bit confusing. But in the end, you know, I sit around at home and then I start feeling shit. That means I'm leaking power. Power is running out of me. So what do I do then? Then I make a choice and I look for something that feels good, at least better than what I'm feeling right now. And I had this last night, for instance. I had this yesterday. You know, I'm recording until I feel tired, until I feel like I have nothing more to give. And then I stop. You know, that was yesterday. You know, I'm learning this now. To stop when, you know, I'm on the verge of collapsing or something. I do that now because I realized, you know, I'm killing myself for people that have nothing to give. Because they haven't received enough, maybe. You know, and that's a bitch for me, because if I'm overexerting myself, because I think I have to give, but I never give anything to me, then what? well, then I'm just gonna be miserable and I'm gonna hate what I'm doing, and that's gonna show in my work. Well, luckily, if I'm walking in nature barefoot and I'm filming myself, you know, I give and I receive. Maybe not to the same degree, but at least to a certain degree. And there's something I have to do about my right foot, because I have the feeling that just can't be normal. Like, either there's something stuck in there, or it's just a really, like, nasty inner bruise. You know, I don't really know. Sometimes it's difficult to say. All right. So, if I have nothing to give during a day like this, I don't even look at people. You know, I don't care. I mean, I care in a way, but not anymore as much. Because I give what I want to give. If you think you need my hello to have a good day, then that's your problem, right? Because, you know, that's the difference from living in a tribe. That's the difference from living in a small village. I cannot know everybody. I cannot spend time with everybody. I cannot talk with everybody. So I have to make a selection of people that I want to engage with, right? And some people, they're a bit more courageous, you know, they come and they want to engage with me. And then what do? Yeah, so I don't really have to care. You know, they want to engage with me. That's not my problem. You know, I stay until I want to stay, but usually, people don't manage to stay in my presence for more than 5 minutes because I'm too intense for them. Because that's also what happens. You know, you start radiating stuff. You start radiating a sort of intensity. Even though you would never do anything to harm them, what already harms them is being in your presence. Because what does it harm? You know, it triggers them in certain ways. Because they probably walk around, and in the crowd that they usually mingle, they're probably the coolest guy in the room, or the hottest chick. And then when there's somebody who's been really trained by life, who's been taken apart, literally killed by life, and then raised from the dead. If you've got a guy like this in the room, you know, the stakes are a bit different. Because that guy goes out when it's cold in bare feet. I mean, what do you have to say to that? Oh, you've got like a top knot? Oh yeah, that's all you've got going for yourself? You know, congratulations. That's what you got. You got long hair and a braid. Because you think that makes you look like a Viking warrior or something. Well, I shave my hair because hair pisses me off, but I do have a beard. Yeah, because if too many people have long hair, I'll rather have no hair. That's not the only reason, but it is in a way. Because sometimes it is about how the public sees you. And Trungpa Rinpoche, I think, Trungpa Rinpoche, who wrote also a book called Crazy Wisdom, he said that, you know, he started wearing suits, but he was from Tibet. He was some kind of monk. And he fled from Tibet, I think, all the way over the mountains. And he did all kinds of, you know, good work. Yeah, he also had his habits. He was a smoker of cigarettes, like lots of it, because that kept him high. There's a sacrifice for certain things. And so, I mean, ultimately, it's up to you. He made his choices, and he said if he walks around in his traditional robes, people will not listen to him. Because all they see is the robes. And everything he's gonna say to them, they're gonna think, oh, funny guy. So, yeah, sure, if I walk around and I'm just barefoot, that's all they're gonna see. You know, they invite people into their shows. They don't see the person. They don't see what they're really doing. All they see is what they want to see, you know, a joke. And that's why my content isn't really laughing material, because I'm sick of being laughed at. You know, and I'm saying that as a conscious being, yeah? I'm sick of laughing at animals, right? Or other people. I'm sick of laughing at myself. You know, I'm sick of laughing at all kinds of things. So, there are places which I consider to be places of power. And I go there. And if you live my life, or your life, like I live my life, then you would understand what I'm trying to tell you. Yeah? Then you would understand that if you would ever be like me, you would never produce content that people can laugh at. Because, you know, I'm way too serious for that. Because it's a serious matter. I mean, you have to understand, we're living in times where people are so sick with weakness, with their own shit, the filth of their lies. And all we do is jump around like little princesses and princes, yeah, and mope. But at what cost? At the cost of this here, at the cost of nature. We're living within lies, we're living within ignorance, but we don't want to change that. We do nothing about it because we're too busy to being lazy fuckers. So if I walk around and I talk to you about power, and you come to me and you want to have a bit of chit chat, you know, I'm gonna turn the conversation around a bit and point my finger at the nasty things, you know. And then you're gonna say, when I say, well, look at TikTok and stuff like this, it's all bullshit. And then you're gonna say, well, I deleted that because, you know, I know that. Yeah, of course you know that. Everybody knows that. But how much of what you're saying is really the truth? And how much do you just say so that you can tell yourself that you're a bit better than you think you are? Because I meet so many people, as long as, you know, as soon as I open my mouth, they say the same shit that I'm saying. You know, it's like an 8 Mile. You're saying the same shit he said. Yeah, that's what everybody does. One person says something, and then the other person just repeats that. And then they go around, oh yeah, I do that too. But when they're at home, they don't do it. So, you know, if I watch porn, I don't say I don't watch porn. I've said before, you know, I won't watch porn anymore. But when I've watched porn, I said it. So yeah, I mean, I can't change that. You know, and that's the thing, I realized something. I'm not addicted to porn in that sense. I just want to have sex. But I don't just want to have sex. I want to have sex to connect. And at the moment, you know, it's a fine balance. I mean, I've already switched from watching porn with other men to just watching only women. And I've said that already, I know that. But to me it's important to say that, because for me that's a really important transition. Because I stopped seeing myself and other men having sex. Now I realize, you know, I don't want other men, I just want one woman. Just one. Only one. And no other one. Just the one that I've been chasing ever since I met her. Yeah? So I'm playing chess with her. Maybe you can call that energetic chess. So I'm trying to outmaneuver her. Yeah? That's what I'm trying to do. And for that, I need to become strong. And that's a tough one. But also, if I've never met her, then who could I ever have aspired to become strong for? Because if you're just living your life and you're fighting, and you show to yourself and to others that you are a fighter, then sometimes you just need something to keep you going. You need a reason to fight. If you ain't got no reason, you know, fighting is kind of shit. So fighting for yourself isn't really it. So at the moment, I'm fighting so I can be with the future version of myself and that man's family. And I realize I'm not that man yet, but I can work to become that man. And for that I have to walk the trails of power that unfold in front of my eyes. So going out into nature certainly is a trail of power. Okay? Yeah, look at her. It's like, I have the stick. And sometimes she's showing me things that I'm trying to ignore. See, if I would look down on her, I wouldn't be able to follow her. But she has shown me once a whole set of things. Agrarics. You see, I walk on the trails of power, and sometimes I get to places where my feeling tells me to go, and I didn't know what I would find there. And sometimes it scares the shit out of me, because I don't know where I'm going to be at someday. Right? Because a place of power comes with a feeling. There's a feeling, and you follow that feeling, and then you end up somewhere, and suddenly you are at that place, and then you have to do something. You know, I don't always know what's good or what's bad, because I can't judge these things. But when I'm there, right in that moment, I know. And that's why I knew that's how it's gonna be. And so, I mean, that's all it's ever going to be. It's a choice that brings you to your place in life. And if you find yourself in a place where you feel weak, that means you've been walking away from power because you were afraid of it. Because it's a challenge. It's a real challenge. Sitz, bleib. Los.
So, come to me in the forest. I've been calling you all this time. I haven't always been the strongest, but when I'm out here, I feel fine. I started chasing my weakness. I've chased it out of me. And as I was chasing my weakness, life became a melody. A melody hard to maintain, at times out of reach. A way that I feel sane. Nature's got something to teach. I find that being a man these days isn't the same as it was. To live, I had to say yes. And become my own boss. I'm looking for wisdom in places I never knew even exist. People and cars are all racists. Right here, I feel bliss. And still there is weakness I'm feeling. And still there are paths I must trot. I'm trotting along all the paths. To stand still means I will rot. I feel so sick of rotting. I wanted to be strong. And in these moments I find you. I know I can't be wrong. They wronged me all my life, until I started to shine. I looked at all their weakness. This weakness also was mine. I left it up to the masses to tell me if I was good. And inside my rage was swelling. And toxic became my blood. I'm out here doing my thing now. I've waited far too long.
I felt nature's sting, wow. And still I felt more strong. They beat me into submission. They tried if only they could. They never knew there was strength left. And so they conjured a flood. A flood of people that live it. That bring peace to the mind. If you've received, then give it. Train yourself to be kind. Train yourself to be fighting. Fighting for what feels right. Destroying nature is sickness. I see it as something unkind. Our kind has kind of lost itself. So what is there to do? I go out into the forest and I make sure to be true. True to my emotions. True to what I felt. I've seen too much weakness and people that have knelt. Knelt to evil oppressors, exerting power over them. So now I must find my own weakness. My own weight I must stem. I must rise from the ashes like a phoenix lost in the dark, his fire almost extinguished. A dog that forgot how to bark. They tried to silence me all my life, but here I am, fighting for love for my wife. 'Cause maybe she ain't got the strength yet, but I know I do. So if ever I found my strength yet, for you, I surely do. You are the love of my life, see. The mother of my child. I needed to do, see. And start building my own life. There are so many struggles. There are so many depths. And as I learned climbing, I learned to play my chess. I learned to fight for others, but also for myself. Collecting things that strengthen and keep them on my shelf. A shelf that I maintain now. I sorted out the goods. That wanted me a weakling. At home now stand my boots. Each day is a disaster. Each day I stand and fight. For feelings are my master if I don't know what's right. Right is strength, is power. Power to stand up and be the man you want to be. So first fill your own cup. So in any case, I'm trying to narrow it down to what I know in any given moment. And that's all I can do. I go for a walk and something pulls me, then I can resist it or submit to it. Right? If I feel that what pulls me is weakening me, then I resist. And that strengthens me. But if I feel there's something that gives me power to be strong, to do what I must do, to do what I feel like I want to do it, then I seize it with all my might. And it's tough. Like sometimes I feel like I'm on the verge of collapsing. Sometimes I feel like, I need something to hold on to. So I hold on to the things that make me strong. I hold on to the things that I see in the distance and that make me happy, that make me want to work for them. So yeah, I'm in a very vulnerable place, because that's what it means to be alive. You are somewhat vulnerable, because you cannot see everything there is. You just see what is there in the moment. And if you picture yourself as something else than what your surroundings are trying to tell you about yourself, then you must change your surroundings. And you start by changing your surroundings by changing yourself. Because the more you attract power into your life and do the things that feel strenuous, that feel like they're almost impossible, but they also put a smile on your face, because that's that kind of madness inside of you. This place in yourself that wants to fight, that wants to struggle. Fight weakness. Fight all this shit that destroys forests and blames it on carbon dioxide. Fight all this shit that conjures disease out of nothing and then gives you a false promise of a cure. And that's really the tough thing, because the people around you, they will try to suck you in to their fear, because that's everything they see, right? I've just been talking to that other man, and he was telling me a story about a woman that was sitting on a bench, and there was a tree, and because he's a forest worker, you know, she called him to her and she asked him to do something about the tree. And then he thought, well, if you're afraid that the tree will fall down and crush you, why don't you just sit somewhere else? So if you're sitting at home and life scares you, what? You either keep sitting there and are afraid, or you go out there and hack it. I mean, you hack your own life. I mean, hacking in the sense of, what does a hacker do? A hacker is being confronted with a problem, maybe to hack a firewall or to hack some kind of system. Well, I felt like I can hack my own system, because the prison is my mind, and therefore I have to look at my mind and see where it's clinging to things that make me weak. So if I'm clinging to fear because I think fear is real, then I don't understand the first thing about duality, that if I cling to fear, I cannot love. And that's an imbalance. And so, I mean, the reason that we have a heart that's red and looks like a butt just shows you one thing, that we are trapped in fear, because the heart is green, such as the forest, and that means healing. And when you want to heal, you have to do something. So if I'm really weak, I sleep. And when I have a bit of strength, I use that strength to do something that strengthens me even more. But that means my body will also feel weak again, because now it's starting to grow, because it's driving strength out of its weakness out of its system. You see, it's kind of complicated. You know, you would think that, you know, if I go running today, why don't I feel strong tomorrow? But often I go running today and tomorrow I feel weak. Yesterday I went slacklining and I landed on some kind of stone and I hurt my heel. So often we chase strength or power, and then the next day we feel weak and then we stop. But then you just do the next best thing. So today maybe slacklining wasn't the thing, and neither was hiking for 5 hours, but coming here and doing a session with myself, connecting with myself, and doing the things that I love to do helps me. Because on some days I can be really strong and powerful. On the next day I have to gather my strength. I mean, I sometimes tried. I thought, you know, I'm never going to sleep again. But if I never sleep, I can never wake up and be strong. So maybe you're angry that you were so ignorant for so long, because you didn't know all these things. But that shouldn't hold you back. That should be like a promise to you, where you say, oh wait, there is a different way to life. There is a different way to live. And there's people who've done that already. And thanks to the internet, I can see these people. I can even reach out to them. I can read about them. I can read about Wim Hof, who did what he did, although nobody else did it. And people started to follow him. But if he wouldn't have started walking, if he wouldn't have done what he did to challenge himself on the cold, nobody could have ever known about him. But he kept going, and he kept going, Although there were people that were afraid, right? And in that sense, it doesn't matter if you lose a wife, if you lose a child, or if you get like mortally sick. It's your fight, it's your challenge, and you have to do something about that. You know, and if your muscles are getting weaker and weaker, and then doctors come and they say you have some kind of disease, no, it's like there's power seeping out of you, and that's why you get weaker and weaker. And then they will do all kinds of surgery and do all kinds of things. Well, what you should have truly done is cleanse yourself of weakness so that your body can heal and get strong. So, right, if there's like all these monocultures, you know, there's so many pine trees that were planted in this area for industrial growth, and it worked for a while, but after a certain time there was an imbalance in nature, and nature claimed back some of the space that humans try to claim for themselves. And nature shows, you know, I'm still here, I'm still growing. You know, even in cities you cannot keep out life. It's like dandelions coming out of the concrete. That's how strong they are. So maybe you think humans are destroying the whole planet, but what they actually do is they are destroying themselves by the way they live and think and feel. So a better way is to just see it as that's how it is. People are ignorant, and they will remain ignorant until there's enough people who become conscious and who fight and who struggle and who show a different way to life. And then the stronger those people become, the more the ignorant people will realize that they're missing out on something. Right? So to tell you that my life's been easy would be a lie. You may think it's easy that I still live with my parents and do all this content, but I tell you, every day I want to quit, I want to give up. And sometimes I give up for an hour, but then I find my strength again. Because giving up in that time means I can relax a little. But my resolve is so strong because my experiences have taught me that, you know, if it's like misty and cold and it's raining or snowing and you're wet and soaked because you're on a 5-day hike, then maybe 3 or 4 days you're gonna live in hell. But then on the 5th day, suddenly you're in heaven. And that's what I've been doing ever since, because life has taught me to do it. But I also learned the lesson. So I wanted to do these things all by myself. And so if I feel like life is a bit boring, yeah, sure, I do HP. That's like a fist in the face. But it's also a challenge. I empty myself and then I feel weak and vulnerable. But then I work with that by being strong and by learning how to be strong. Because if I've got nothing to give, you know, I will make sure that I earn myself the right to give again. Because that's what life is about, to give, right? A tree gives to all its surroundings by drawing nutrients out of the ground, by pulling water from the depth of the earth and making it available to the living beings on the surface. So if we don't have forests, yeah, the temperatures will rise because there are no trees anymore that cool the atmosphere. I mean, that's just a natural process. And if we then say, well, you know, we're responsible, but it's CO2, then we don't understand anything about nature. And that's, of course, something important. And when I went to study environmental protection, you know, I didn't know why I was doing this. I just did it. And the people, like my family, not all of them, but they thought, oh, now he's studying environmental protection. He's going to be an engineer and, you know, do what I did, but just in a different way. But I don't. You know, I found my own path, but I used the knowledge I got from learning about the environment to understand what we can do. Because that, to me, is a much better way than to just keep feeding the industry. But right now, we are living in times of industry. And so we have to make the most of that. I mean, if you would ask me, you know, before you came into existence, how would you picture your life? I probably would have said, well, somewhere in nature, right? If you could send me there, then I could live like in peace with a tribe. But at the moment, we're not in peace. So I can be peaceful somewhere on my own, but other people are not. And I realized that in order to change, you know, the whole mindset of humanity, I first have to show them how they can change it. By cleansing your system of all these funguses and bad thoughts and toxic emotions. So you have to cleanse yourself by washing your body clean. And when you do that, so many things will change. And that's a scary place, because probably nobody in your surroundings is going to do that. So you have to do it alone. Right? I don't have a kind of master sorcerer like Carlos Castaneda. You know, I don't have a Don Juan, but I have them. Not right next to me, but I just go online and then I check out people who live the life that I can imagine living for myself. And so I do that. And that gives me stability, because I know there are people like me out there that say the things that I think or feel. And so I listen to them instead of all the propaganda that's been happening. So instead of taking the bus, I walk or I cycle. Because if I go and step into a bus, yeah, you know, they can force me to submit to their rules. And in that sense, society is a bus. But I don't want to drive in their bus. So I live somewhat out of society, but I also go into society. But it's like, you know, you have to learn to be strong on your own, because maybe there's nobody to teach you. And quit your moping is all I'm trying to say to you. Like, so instead of thinking about all these things you want to do, like, you know, she's only thinking about sticks and having something to do, well, then have something to do. But if you're so stuck on watching movies, you cannot make your own movie, which is your life. Because everybody you see in movies are just pretenders that say what they've been told to say. And the most liberating thing for me is to say what I want to say when I want to say it. And I realize that if I do that, some people, they start getting angry at me, but then they also stop talking to me. Because I'm not saying what they want to hear. I say what I want to say. And only if you start to listen to what you want to say, you can actually say it. And that means silence and quiet. And then filling yourself with content that makes you strong, rather than keep you weak. So I've been watching the first Hobbit of the Hobbit series, and I realized once more, they shouldn't have done that movie at all, because it's so shit. I mean, they should have maybe made 2 films out of it, or just 1. But what I see, you know, they take a really awesome book. The Hobbit is a really nice book. There isn't so much fighting in there. It's more about the journey. But then you watch the movie and all there is like weird orcs looking for 20 seconds like, "Argh!" It looks so terrible. And the whole story, it's not, you know, everybody just says all these meaningful things. But they're all pretenders. Yeah, it's like in that scene when Bilbo comes out of the mountain and they ask him, you know, how did you get here? And then Thorin comes and says, "Ah, you're a weakling, you should have never come, or why did you come back?" I mean, Thorin is supposed to be the strong guy. Yeah? Like a real man, but he's just a pussy. And you can see that, you can tell it, but I know that when people watch that movie, they're like, "Oh, is Thorin going to survive?" I mean, that scene didn't even exist in the book. Where that warg comes and, you know, he jumps off the tree that's hanging off a cliff. You know, in the movie, those trees were just standing in an opening. And then it wasn't Gandalf that called the eagles. They came by because they saw them from afar. So in that movie it seems like everybody always knows what to do and, you know, they set all the things. But it's not like that. You know, people come to me, I didn't plan that. All I knew was I wanted to produce content because it made me happy, but I also saw what could come out of it, and that scared me. But I also left it up to the people to find me. So I wouldn't have to take responsibility so much for what kind of content to create. Because all I knew was I wanted to create content that is true to how I feel. And if I feel like incredibly terrible, then I'd rather make a song about that than to sing about love or something. Yeah. Plus, you know, I don't want to be drawn always into this, "Oh, I'm so I'm so nice now," and then, "Oh, I'm so shit. Oh, I'm so nice. I'm so shit. I'm so nice. I'm so shit. I'm so nice. I'm so shit. I'm gonna watch a movie. Oh, I'm so nice." And then you go out of the cinema and that feeling's gonna last you 20 minutes. But the feeling of I went for a hike in the rain in bare feet, I mean, that's gonna last you because you know you did that. That's a real feeling. Because feelings aren't just about I feel good now. Feelings are also about I feel shit now. And so you feel the shit and then you work with that by being strong anyway. Because those feelings, yeah, it's not like they try to be weak. It's just weakness. And so you pile up strength. You gather strength. You attract it into your life by making decisions that are strong. So to go alone for a walk is strength. To learn how to crochet instead of watching a movie, that's strength. And you will realize when you crochet that it's incredibly tough on your hands. And, you know, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because I want to be strong. But there's also still a place in me that's weak. There's still a place in me that's weak. That's longing to be touched. Yeah. Amy. Amy. Okay. Yeah, you're strong, is what I tell myself when I look at the choices that I've made. Because nobody else will tell me.
And yeah. So harboring strength also means that people in your surroundings that are weak can lean on you. Right? In that sense, a child is weak. A woman may be weak sometimes. So if you're strong, she can lean on you. So if you feel weak, you sleep. Yeah? And if your wife has got something to give, she gives it. But also because you're strong. So she can be strong as well. Because she knows she can rely on you. She can lean on you. It's important. Because that's how it is, you know. Man and woman are different. And if you're a man pretending to be a woman, that means you're weak. That means you cannot live well. And so then there's a lesson to be learned. Yeah. So you can either start becoming strong, or you keep pretending to be a woman, although you're a man. But that also means that you can keep relying on others. Wow. Yeah, sure, man. It hurts. It's painful. Trails of power. But in that sense, it's a form of meditation. It's a form of meditation, and it is liberating to push through, to find strength in places where everybody's weak. Because you realize you can be different if you start choosing. So choose well. Choose well, man. Make a choice for life. And then look at nature. And see strength in nature. And see the beauty. And if you learn how to see that, and you learn how to get to that place where you see it, by the choices you make. So if you sit at home and you feel shit, and you look outside and you hate nature, then go outside and learn to love it. Learn to feel comfortable in situations where there is no comfort. And that's then your mindset, and your mind is going to become stronger and stronger because all the weak thoughts are being driven out of you. And your whole being changes. It's incredible. The kind of potential we have if we choose. Because ultimately it's all a choice. Yeah, right now I feel like, whoa, fuck. Like the ground is really cold. So, you know, I don't know what boldness is. Bold. I don't know. It's like being naked in the dark. And to smile anyway. It's like being in the middle of a storm and to smile anyway. And scared people and ignorant people, they are going to say, you're mad. And they're going to say, sure. If that's being mad, then I must be mad. But you know why you're doing it. Because it feels good to be strong and to know that others can lean on you. And that's then a whole set of variables, a whole set of choices, a whole set of methods that you learn in well-earned trials that teach you bit by bit, okay, you want to be strong, that's how you can be strong. And so yeah,
It's also adjusting to your emotions a little. So yeah, my feet feel so weak because I've been hammering them with going outside. And so today, you know, I'm not so eager to walk really far, so I walk a bit less. And I also don't walk more because I think, you know, the dog's going to be happy if I do, because that's gonna overexert me. I walk as much as I want to walk. And I want to sit, I sit. And if she doesn't like that, throw her a stick. But ultimately, I am in command. I say we go home now. Because that's where I want to be right now, right? Alright, so in that sense, my room can be a place of power. It can also weaken me. And I think I'm gonna leave it at that. Okay, just one more thing. Yeah, sometimes we meet people along the way and they are silent, and then you try to fill the silence with words. That's what can work for a bit, but then sometimes just accept the silence. Because if they want to talk, then they should talk. But if you don't feel you want to listen, and you just keep silent, and then just curtly nod to them and keep walking. You see, it's not only about what other people want, but about what you feel like at the moment. Anyway, trails of power, that was that. And see you another time.